As the son of one of television's most formidable figures, Simon Cowell's journey is under constant scrutiny. His transformation has left fans and critics speechless, from a young boy to a poised teen. While many know him as Simon's son, he's discovering his identity in the spotlight. What changes have made headlines, and how is he navigating life away from his father's shadow? As we explore the remarkable evolution of Simon Cowell's son, prepare for surprises that redefine expectations and reveal a young man ready to step into the spotlight. The beginning of everything. In 1959, on October 7th, Julie and Eric Cowell became parents to a young boy who entered the world. They gave him the name Simon, and even though he might have been a charming baby, he will soon mature into a man who would strike dread into the hearts of individuals who had dreams of becoming famous. His birthplace was Brighton, which is located in East Sussex. Brighton is a town typically recognized for its coastal attractions and for having given its name to a movie starring Richard Attenborough, as well as a song by Queen that's considered quite good. The most successful athletes begin their training at an early age. It's possible that you believe that it takes some time to develop a cynical putdown. Nothing of the sort with little Simon. On the other hand, even though he is only 4 years old at the time, he was already hurling insults like a child who was many times his age. It just so happened that his mother was trying on a pillbox hat that was white and furry at that very moment. The answer that she received from her kid when she inquired about his opinion on the getup was that it made her appear to be a poodle. Oh no, that's some savage single-digit reality right there that you have there. Are you a hijacker, Simon Cowell? Even though he was just 12 years old at the time, Simon Cowell was arrested for stealing a bus when he was a young boy. Accidentally, if you will. In addition to it, he possessed a pea gun. From this vantage point, we'll let him explain it to us. The peas that are fired from this pistol travel approximately 6 feet in the air. My friend and I were going to board a bus, and we thought it would be funny to put the pistol to the driver's head and say, "Take us where we're going." We were going to get to our destination. He believed us, and I remember thinking to myself as I sat on the bus, God, this guy's really playing along with this well, because he didn't stop for 20 miles. As soon as we arrived on the opposite end, police cars were waiting for us, and they immediately placed us in jail. School's out for Simon. Although we're already familiar with Simon Cowell for his wicked intellect and his ability to quickly assess a person and make an expert judgment about them, it's essential to remember that not all intelligence manifests itself in academia. In your mind, you might see a young Simon studying disparaging terminology in school, soaking up as much information as he could get in order to give himself the upper hand in any conversation. But the truth is that Simon was not a particularly good student. According to a number of sources, he went to as many as 16 different schools before he became 16 years old. The schools repeatedly expelled him for his poor behavior, and he eventually left to find work when he was 16 years old. Apprentice to a grouch. Following his graduation from high school, Simon was in need of employment, so he decided to take a position as a runner on the set of Stanley Kubrick's film The Shining. Just picture that! A young Simon Cowell wanders onto the set with Heart of Criticism still lying dormant. The legendary Stanley Kubrick, who's notorious for being a cantankerous grouch with many of the people who would cross his path, is also present. As soon as Simon saw Kubrick savagely tearing Shelley Duvall apart, he exclaims, "I could do that!" However, it's essential to note that Simon Cowell did not get along well with the film's executives and ultimately left the production. From the mailroom to the despair and doom. Without putting up a lot of effort, you won't get far, or even a little bit of favoritism for family members. What do you mean either or? His first job in the industry came about as a result of this. Following his father's recommendation, he was given the opportunity to work in the mailroom at EMI, where he was eventually recruited. After making steady progress at EMI, Simon ultimately reached a point where he and his superior, Ellis Rich, decided to leave the well-established EMI and establish E&S Music. This was the beginning of Simon's career in the music industry. Our impression is that it's a triumphant tale, or to be more precise, it wasn't. Because Simon had accumulated such a large amount of debt as a result of a number of unsuccessful occupations and partnerships, he was forced to relocate back to his parents' home in the year 1989. Ouch! It must be quite painful. Some of the news is positive. It was at this time that Simon made his first appearance on television, despite the fact that he had to move back home with his parents. A participant on the television show Sale of the Century, which was shown in the United Kingdom in 1990, was the loving Mr. Cowell. It was a game show that was somewhat comparable to The Price is Right in both appearance and content. It was revealed that he was a record producer who likes go-kart racing when he showed up on the show. He's described as steely and immovable by the host of the show, which is an interesting fact because it suggests that he was already developing the demeanor that would become his signature. He was the lucky winner of a set of kitchen equipment in the end. Well done to him. Achieving a tubby state on it. Children's shows are nothing new for Simon to watch. Despite the fact that the majority of people are familiar with him for his appearances on slightly more adult-oriented, family-oriented entertainment, he has quite a few interactions as a record executive with a variety of educational programs for children. Throughout his early years as a producer for S Records, Simon worked on a number of projects, including the television powerhouses known as the Teletubbies and the ubiquitous Saban franchise Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, particularly throughout the 1990s. What else could we possibly say besides Go Simon Cowell? Here comes a guitar solo. When American Idol was not around, there was… The year 2000 was the one that officially established Simon Cowell as a household name. It took place on a short show that had the word idol in its title. On the other hand, it is not the instance that you're imagining. Before, there was a show in the United Kingdom called American Idol and its several subsidies called Pop Idol, and it was during this time that Simon really began to attract the interest of the general public. In the year 2000, Simon served as a judge for the very first season of British Pop Idol. In point of fact, it was there that he presented his signature cutting exaggeration to the public for the very first time. In 2002, he became a contestant on American Idol, and ever since then, the world has never been the same. A family affair. The fact that Simon is a joyful and generous family man, especially in his role as an uncle, is something that appears to be true. During the first season of Pop Idol, he went out of his way to ensure that all three of his nieces and nephews were able to make an appearance in the crowd at some time. He has a nephew and two nieces. In addition to that, he's a father. Although we'll have more to say about that topic in a moment, we're not yet at the point in the story where we are, and that portion of it is, to put it mildly, not easy to understand. The animal lover that is Simon Cowell. When it comes to our animal companions, Simon is actually pretty kind, despite the fact that he's notorious for being somewhat harsh to some of the humans who appear before him on the numerous talent shows that he hosts. In addition to being vegetarian, Mr. Cowell is an animal rights campaigner. The utilization of his celebrity status has allowed him to bring attention to important animal care campaigns, and he's willing to go to great lengths to encourage responsible pet ownership. In addition to bringing attention to the issue of leaving dogs in hot automobiles, he's also emphasized the significance of spaying and neutering your pets. He's such a good boy. Classic Simon Cowell zingers number 1. A poodle in a leather jacket. It simply wouldn't be a post about Simon Cowell if we don't reveal some of the most memorable and incredible signature put-downs that he's ever delivered. Undeniably, they are excruciating for the candidates, but they're a source of great pleasure for the viewers. This is one of the things that Paula Abdul said to Konstantin Maroulis, a contestant, after he had watched Konstantin's pop rock rendition of I Think I Love You. Abdul graciously told Konstantin that he displayed some of the best showmanship in the competition. What a wonderful compliment! After that, Simon chimed in with some scathing comments, saying, "I felt it was a strange fit. The rocker portraying the Partridge Family. In other words, it would be comparable to placing an order for a security dog for your house and receiving a poodle dressed in a leather jacket." In spite of the fact that it's not the genuine thing, one must nonetheless be painful. The question is, where does the magic exist? It's all well and good for us to just be able to sit back and enjoy Simon's razor-sharp wit, to marvel as he cuts people down to size in their most vulnerable moments. But do you ever ask yourself why a man might be able to come up with such stinging comments at a moment's notice? If you ask Mr. Cowell himself, he'll tell you that it's because he often has dark moods and miserable thoughts. Well, that's a little morbid, isn't it? This is the stuff that makes up memoirs. Simon Cowell is also pretty handy behind a typewriter, or more likely a laptop today. Back in 2003, when Idol was in what many consider to be its golden period, Simon wrote and published a memoir called I Don't Mean to Be Rude, But… We gotta say, the title is nothing short of perfect for the subject. In the book, he recalls his life in the music industry and shares what he considers to be essential tips for getting ahead in the industry. In addition, judges have layers. Simon's pop culture ubiquity has taken him to a lot of fun and unexpected places. However, nothing quite tops his cameo appearance in the special features of Shrek 2. The scene was intended to be in the movie as a tag scene at the end, most likely after the credits, but apparently spiraled into something much bigger by the time they got to record. To that end, it became a full-on bonus feature on the DVD release. In the segment, Simon plays himself and acts as a judge in the Far, Far Away Idol talent show alongside Shrek and Fiona. He and the other two judges provide commentary as the fairy tale characters sing their hearts out. I guess what they say is true. No matter what universe you're in, every talent show needs a Simon Cowell. Aside from… he's considered by many to be the dark, beating heart of the American Idol franchise, as well as both Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent, not to mention just a sensational personality in his own right. Simon is actually the only American Idol judge who does not have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Sacrilege! Sacrilege, we say. We demand justice for Simon. We gotta get a hashtag going here. People, get it trending. Simon is a star. One that is timeless. As most know, Simon is a certified devotee of t-shirts. It's hard to picture him wearing anything else except one of his loose, black V-neck shirts. Fun fact, those shirts are actually designer-produced, baby. There's no fruit of the loom for this guy. Whenever Simon is wearing a black tee, it's Armani. Apparently, he owns approximately 30 identical black Armani V-neck tees. This look is so consistent that he even wears a black t-shirt in his animated appearance on the Shrek 2 DVD. Now that's what we call branding. Best BFFs forever. There are a lot of people who believe that Paula Abdul is Simon's best friend because of their close relationship on the show. This is a mistake that's easy to make because the two have worked together for goodness knows how many years and have seen each other practically every day. However, in reality, Simon's best friend is his next-door neighbor in London, Jacqueline St. Clair. Jacqueline is a model who appeared in Playboy. You know, there's a lot to like about that. An offer that he was unable to decline. Simon, as we mentioned earlier, is actually quite the loving guy in his private life. In fact, he's in such high demand among his nearest and dearest that he's the godfather of every single one of pop artist Sunita's adopted children. Now, that's a lot of Christmas gifts to buy. He can probably afford it. Simon and Sunita actually dated in years gone by. In fact, the two were on again and off again for close to 20 years. Always nice to stay friends with your exes. A complicated dating life. A man as popular as Simon is bound to have his fair share of suitors. One of his longtime partners was Terry Seymour, whom he was seeing from 2002 until 2008. Terry is an English entertainment reporter and actress, and the two were very keen on each other for a long time. It's generally thought that the two of them eventually broke up because Simon didn't want to settle down for the long term. It must have stung. However, Simon's dating history didn't get any simpler from here on. In fact, brace yourself for some tea. Scandalous Simon. No easy way to say this. Simon had an affair with his best mate's wife. Lauren Silverman, the then-wife of Andrew Silverman, began an affair with Simon in 2009. He admits he was not proud of the circumstances. It was meant just to be a fling, but he decided to go all in when she got pregnant. This was not something I planned, but I remember going to the first scan with Lauren. I called him Tad because he looked like a tadpole. Something just kicked in. I felt unbelievably protective of both of them. I just absolutely wanted him. I just hadn't known that before. He openly dotes on his son, Eric Cowell. I adore my son. We make each other laugh. I've taught him to share, to say please and thank you. Whatever he has, he offers me. He and Lauren are still together, not only. The conclusion of his tenure as a mentor to Leona Lewis. Leona Lewis, the Hackney-born star, was Simon's favorite. He took her under his wing, and together they began a successful business relationship that gave way to hit singles like Bleeding Love, which spent 7 weeks at UK #1. Simon signed her into his record label Psycho, and since then the X Factor winner has sold over 35 million records worldwide. After a few years, Leona decided to end the mentorship with Simon. Leona has now landed a record deal with Universal and admitted that she was tired of the delays in making her music because Simon was always busy. Simon Cowell's been incredible, but at the end of the day, it's a huge label now, she confessed. There's no bad blood at all. The other week, Simon wrote me a kind email expressing his admiration for my work at the record label. There's nothing but love there, she continued. It was something he was aware of. He was upset about it, but it was time for something new. So I'm excited about moving on and doing something different. As for her love life, Leona split from her childhood sweetheart, Lou Alchema, in 2010, and then met choreographer and creative director Dennis Jouch on her Labyrinth tour. They married in a Tuscan vineyard. In March 2022, Leona surprised her fans when she announced her pregnancy via Instagram with a beautiful picture of her baby bump. "Can't wait to meet you in the summer," wrote Lewis as she posted the sweet photograph. A little bit of a drip. Cowell is dedicated to maintaining his health as he gets older. How dedicated is he? Well, he goes all out, baby. Every week he gets himself an intravenous drip that's loaded with B12, magnesium, vitamin C, and something for your liver. At least that's how he describes it. If you're wondering how he manages to keep that youthful glow, it's not only plastic surgery that he undergoes, but it's also that intravenous drip that he takes every week to ensure that he's getting plenty of the good stuff. Bike accident. And while we're on the subject of health, in the year 2020, Simon Cowell was involved in a severe bike accident that resulted in him breaking his back. Cowell stated that he even had footage of the accident. The accident was so severe that it required him to undergo emergency surgery, and his recovery caused him to miss the season of America's Got Talent in 2020. He joked about the event by saying, "Some good advice: in the event that you purchase an electric trail bike, it's imperative that you read the handbook before you first ride it. Several bones in my back have been shattered. Many thanks to everyone for the thoughtful messages they sent." Are you working hard or working hard? Simon is a popular man. As such, he gets many endorsement deals and has taken up many of them. However, there is one particular product he was asked to be the face of in 2007 that he turned down, despite being offered a cool £1 million to do it. What was this product that he could not abide by? Viagra. Yep, that Viagra. The male happy pill. He was not thrilled to be asked to be their spokesperson, and even went on the record to say, "Sorry, but that has to be a redacted insult." Classic Simon Cowell zingers #2. You're a beautiful girl, but you're ugly. It's another classic Simon Cowell putdown. This one is particularly devastating. Speaking to Heather Piccinini after she performed New Attitude, he had some particularly savage words to share. "Your facial expressions were ugly," he said. When the other judges started to give him grief for his remarks, he doubled down, adding, "You're a beautiful girl, but you're ugly when you perform. If you listen to it again, you'll understand what I mean." Wow! For comments such as this, Simon Cowell should have a kick-ass nickname such as the Eviscerator or something along those lines. What's up? You look really good. People are frequently curious about how celebrities manage to maintain their youthful appearance. Plastic surgery is undoubtedly the answer 9 times out of 10, and our very own Mr. Simon Cowell is not an exception to this rule. Additionally, he's readily revealed that he's used Botox to maintain his appearance, and he's even admitted that the very first time he had it done it was really noticeable. I hope I've improved my appearance. It's possible that I had a bit too much Botox a couple of years ago, because it seems like everyone on television has it. Despite what some may say, her voice is just stunning. Because Simon Cowell has spent significant time working in the record industry, he will inevitably have some strong ideas regarding music. In other words, except the ones in which he yells at candidates on national television channels. If one were to inquire about Simon's favorite song of all time, there is a high probability that he would respond with "Beautiful" by Christina Aguilera. Numerous times he has referred to it as one of the best pop songs that's ever been produced. Don't sweat it. Simon's life is filled with a few things that will not go how he wants them to go. Granted, there aren't too many, but I mean, if you have the kind of cachet that can get you pretty much anywhere you want to go, then the guy is a freaking millionaire who's known all over the world. On the other hand, nature cannot be defeated. Simon suffers from an allergy to the wool of lambs. The question that we hear you ask is, how is he able to enjoy sweater weather? And as we've already mentioned, the guy's loaded. The only difference is that he purchases pricey cashmere sweaters rather than woolen ones. Whenever I come across a cashmere sweater that I'm able to wear without experiencing itching, I do not simply purchase one of them, rather I purchase 5 of them in 5 different colors. You are, in fact, a quite decent guy. Even though we're primarily familiar with Simon for his insults and witty remarks, he's also made it a point to show support for acts when things are at their lowest point. When Honey G, a competitor on X Factor, was experiencing more than an unfair share of criticism and backlash due to her distinctive rhyming style, Simon took a stand in support of her. For all those people who have been criticizing you, want to know something? According to what he said on national television, music can be fun, and you are fun. After that, he went further, saying, "This is why I love the X Factor. Honey G is one of the most pleasant contestants we've ever had on the program, and even though this shouldn't work by any stretch of the imagination, it does. It's comforting to be aware of the true location of his heart." It's all about the money. Perhaps you're curious about the amount of wealth that Simon Cowell possesses. It's reasonable. Every night, right before we go to bed, we carry out the same routine. In all honesty, it may be considered unhealthy conduct. To those of you who are also affected by this condition, we have some excellent news for you. We're aware of the number. It's estimated that Simon Cowell has amassed a substantial wealth of $120 million due to his participation in the X Factor and his other television series. That's not a negative thing at all, regardless of how you look at it. That's the kind of money that will almost surely make it easier for you to get a good night's sleep. Alternatively, it will, at the very least, provide you with the means to have someone else carry it out for you. If you've made it this far, you're officially an Inner Circle member. Thank you for sticking around and for supporting our channel. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe for more entertainment updates. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon